The Court of Owls has sentenced you to die. How I love killing Waynes. Here's your look at the new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Court of Owls Talon. While juggling on a Gotham City street, William Cobb stopped a would-be thief from stealing Nathaniel Haley's wallet. Thankfully, Haley offered William a job at the circus. After becoming a famous circus performer, William returns home, falls in love, and has a child. However, his wife's family disapproves of William and bans the young couple from seeing each other. Taking advantage of the situation, Haley offers William the chance to become Talon, a covert assassin for a secret organization of wealthy elite known as the Court of Owls. As a Talon, William is virtually unstoppable, capable of being reanimated, and strikes without mercy. The court's now in session. Before we get a closer look at the Court of Owls Talon, we're going to first figure out, of course, how tall the figure stands. And while I'm also doing this, in case you are curious and would like to get one for yourself, I found this over on Entertainment Earth's website. And for that, of course, I'll provide the link down below in the video description if you guys are interested to get one for yourself. Back to measuring the height of the figure, Talon stands at about 6.5 inches in height, or it's roughly about 17 centimeters tall. And seeing as we don't really have a Court of Owls Batman yet for comparisons, I'm just going to bring in 3 Jokers Batman. I think the Batman from this timeline would be a little bit smaller and a little leaner than what we get from 3 Jokers, but at least it shows you what Talon would look like against the Batman figure. And another one who maybe has a bone to pick with the Wayne family, I thought would be fun to also bring in the Batman Who Laughs, who in this case is a lot smaller than the Talon we're about to have a look at. And while we don't have a Court of Owls Batman, something else we don't have yet from McFarlane's team is a Court of Owls figure. I'm just thinking a sharp-dressed guy in a business suit with various different masks he could come included with. Maybe one figure gets released with 2 or 3 different types of owl masks. Or why not maybe release like a 2-pack, a male and female, with their own selection of Court of Owl masks to choose from. You could really army build from that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. I keep wishful thinking that we are going to be getting Court of Owl figures, but let's, talk about the stuff that actually comes included with Talon. Like, for example, the figure comes included with a trading card. And it's so nice to see that they're actually using illustrated arts pulled from the pages. You can see there's Talon right there, wielding 2 blades, as you can see. And in this case, he actually seems to have 4 swords on his back, though the figure only comes included with 2. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Great use of artwork, though, and you can see it says Talon with Court of Owls down below that. On the back, the real name is William Cobb, and that same paragraph read happened to be the same thing I read at the beginning of the review. I saved you the trouble of having to read it for yourself. You're more than welcome. No, you don't have to thank me. It's more than happy to oblige. I'm going to put that to the side. The figure also comes included with, of course, the black display stand, with the DC logo branded down below, one singular peg. Covered, I know, all the same territory that we always talk about when it comes to these display stands, but the fact that the figure comes included with one, again, good job on McFarlane's part. Let's move that to the side. The figure also comes included with several sharp weapons. Not sharp, at least, that I'm going to be cutting my hands with, but he comes with things I'm sure that can inflict bad damage to Bruce if he's not too careful. He comes included, first of all, these very long swords. The swords are made of a softer plastic, not too soft, at least, that they weren't warped when I took them out of their clear tray. You can see they're nicely painted there in silver. What I do really like is the handles. The handles almost look like serpents. You can see that there's loops on the end, and those loops don't actually serve any real purpose. They're nice, detailed-looking swords. They are a pair of matching swords, too. They are identical to one another. These can fit into either one of his hands. I don't know why I'm swinging them back and forth like this. Or he also comes included with a scabbard. The layered scabbard, as you can see, though, is only molded in black plastic. They didn't afford any little bit of paint to it, but that's fine. It goes with the rest of his costuming. The thing about it, though, is that the peg, as long as it may look like it actually is, I think it could be even longer. Because when you actually put it onto the back of his torso, first of all, it has to get across this bandolier. You have to move the bandolier sort of out of the way, but even then, when you put it in place, I don't feel like the scabbard stays as well in there as had they maybe used a longer peg. Because you got to think like the hole is probably deep enough that a longer peg probably would have done a better job of holding that in place. It's not so bad now, but when you go to put the swords in, for example, I find like the scabbard almost gets almost too heavy, and it falls out a little too frequently. Just to show you what I'm talking about there, let's go ahead and remove that for right now. I'm going to take the swords, and I'm going to slide them in. It doesn't really matter which way you put them, although you'll notice on the sides of the scabbards, both sides actually have a slit. So you don't have to fit them in as carefully as you would hope. You can actually just easily just slot them in like this. Do the exact same thing on the other side. Actually, you know what? Seeing as I had the handle facing out this way, let's follow suit, if we will, and do the exact same on the other side. And once those are slotted in place, then you can go ahead and take, once again, that peg, go around to the back of the figure and fit that in the back of his torso. But any little bit of movement, I've noticed, pops these scabbards right off. Again, I feel like the peg probably should have been a little bit longer, but I guess for what it does the job fine. The figure also comes included with slightly smaller blades. It comes with a pair of knives. And again, saying pair indicates that they seem to be identical. You can see like the blades themselves seem identical, painted the exact same silver. And the guard as well as the hilt, you can see, is nicely detailed. Could there, yes, have been an opportunity for them to add a little bit of paint? Sure, why not? But considering really that a lot of what he carries around with him is black, not to mention the matte black that the majority of the figure is anyways, I don't mind or miss the fact that there's no paint that's been added there. And again, either one of these can fit into his hand, or as I did in the beginning of the review, I think I probably will take the swords and keep them in his keep them in the scabbard, and I'll probably then take the smaller blades and keep those in his hand as a permanent fixture. Again, you just fit them into his hand. There's the one, and then do the exact same thing on the other side. Still want to see it? Okay. I know I had already done it on this side. I wasn't sure if you guys still want me to. We'll do it on this side as well. There you go. So now he actually does have the means at least to carry around all the weaponry that he comes included with. And again, short of the fact of maybe put him in a better display, because right now it's a little on the bland side. I know it's a little bit on the bland side. But yeah, at least he actually has the means to hold everything that the figure comes included with. Let's go ahead, after all that effort, we're just going to go ahead and remove those on both sides. We're also going to take this off too, because I know just moving the figure around, these are easily going to pop off. So I'm just going to put those also to the side. And then we'll now get a closer look at Talon. What a neat looking figure this is. It does, of course, replicate the look he has in the comics, sort of that owl-framed mask that he wears over top of his cowl piece. The mask actually is supposed to be a continuous piece, so it starts here, and it goes all the way to the bottom section there. Thank goodness, at least, they actually found the means to incorporate articulation. So while really in the comics this would just be one hood that he would wear, he does actually at least have articulation. It's not maybe as much as you would hope, but he still has something going for there. He does have, of course, the goggles there. Now, some of the times that we actually see this in the comics, they seem to be more illuminated, like a very bright orange. They've kind of kept to a more darker gray in this instance, but at least the trim, the actual frame of the mask that he wears, is painted a very nice metallic gold. See the very finer details that they put into the side of the goggles there. Really nice work on McFarlane's part. And of course, like the mask, even though, I mean, the mask itself is just molded black plastic, but they still managed to put in like little wrinkles and stuff like that. Stuff that would naturally drape on a cloak or a hood that you're wearing on top of your face. You really can't decipher any finer features on him, so you can't see really a nose, you can't see a mouth. You really can't see ears either on the side, but he has a little point on the top of it that kind of follows parallel, really, with the gold that he has for the mask. It's a really nice looking mask, though. Of course, as we get a little bit further down from that, most of his body, again, is just kept to the black plastic. It does have the bandolier. So the bandolier, first of all, while it's loose here, you'll be happy to know at least that they seem to have glued it down here. Sometimes the problem when you get bandoliers on figures, these straps that go across the torso like this, usually if they're loose, they're just going to flop around on you. And while it's still loose up here and loose to the back, they at least glued the front, so it's not going to be going anywhere. He's got several little daggers that he has all holstered in there. He's got the little emblem there also to the top, done in the same gold that he has in his mask. That looks really nice. And then even though, again, like it's just black plastic, they still found the way to get in there and start sculpting some really cool features to the actual costuming. So you got sort of panel lining, I should say, done to the actual surface of the plastic. They really have added no paint whatsoever here, but at least for what we get of the molded plastic, the plastic has something to look at. It's not just a smooth surface. On the one hand, literally on the one hand, he does have the gauntlet there that does have a little face going on there, the Court of Owl's face. I think that's such a cool touch. There's no wash or anything added there. They probably could have maybe added a black, like a very thin coat of paint to that just to make some of those details stand out, but at least it's painted silver, so that's something. It has the matching silver there on his knuckles on the one hand, the same hand as, of course, that gauntlet that he has. But then on the other side, he's got like the sharp, kind of like Wolverine kind of claws that he has on the ends. Now, they probably could have been a little bit longer, but at least they're not warped. They're softer plastic, yes. But one thing I was worried about was whether these were going to get warped when I were taking them out of the packaging. I probably would have made the hook not as close to the knuckles like this. I would have maybe made this just a tad bit longer. But I like the idea that they actually still put them in there. Something we also saw similar to Pattinson's recent Batman design, the costume that he wears. He has all these little, I guess, little spikes, or I don't know what you would call those. He has these little sharp parts that he slides into the side, holsters into the side of his gauntlet there. Very, very similar to what we got with Pattinson's Batman. And then for the rest of the detailing, he does have, like, the top part seems to be a tunic, so it's just a continued down to his skirting that he has here just before we get down to the legs. This is at least a softer plastic. It's a nice silver paint that's added to the front of the belt. And then you've got multiple pockets. And though really this looks like something that would be able to holster the blade, I mean, there is a slot in the top, but obviously, even though there's a slot that they intended for something there, there's no way you'd be able to get the blade in there. And just to show you, it is actually slotted. There's space in there, and yet he doesn't come with anything else other than the things we've already had a look at. It's kind of strange, the fact that they put that little slot there, almost like it's supposed to belong to something. But he's got a few little pockets there, none of which seem to be painted at all, just relying on only just the molded black plastic. And again, a lot more of that black as we get a little bit lower down on the legs. Got some nice sculpting that they've done to adding the carved in. I mean, these aren't even just painted in. These are actually carved into the plastic itself, as you see my finger running into the grooves. Yeah, just overall a really neat looking figure. I always like the look of Talon. Again, whether we are going to be getting a Court of Owls, I say a 2-pack. I mean, even just a single pack would be fine. Maybe give us like a suited guy with just random masks that you can swap in and out. So at least if you have them on display and you want to get like 5, 6, 15 of them, maybe 15 of them, you can have different masks at least for them. Because like the masks vary just ever so slightly. For the articulation on Talon, his head is on a ball joint, so it rotates all the way around. It does look down, just only by a little bit. It does look up, and you can also rock it back and forth as well. The upper torso is on a ball joint, and despite for the fact that they actually glued this part down, it doesn't have any problems whatsoever when it comes to rotating the torso. I almost feel like they probably could have gone to the back and glued this in too. Obviously a little higher, so not to block the hole that you're going to be putting the scabbard into, but if they maybe glued it right there, then the bandolier would be going nowhere. Again, like he has the upper torso ball joint, lower torso ball joints there as well. Shoulders are on hinge joints, and you can go way beyond 90 degrees on this guy. You take the arms and rotate them all the way around. He has a swivel in his bicep. Double hinge on the elbow, and his hands rotate, well, somewhat all the way around. I mean, this one already, at least it has these blades attached to the top here and not attached to the gauntlet, because that would really get in the way when it comes to rotating his hand. And this hand, same thing. You can rotate all the way around. He has a little gauntlet block there, the guard, but that obviously doesn't get in the way when it comes to rotating his hand all the way around. Then for the figure's legs, the legs do split out. They are a little bit more limited. And I've noticed actually when you do move the legs out like this, I feel like there's a lot of pressure going up against the skirting here. So I wouldn't probably go too far. Probably no more than this, I would say. Legs go forward, again, only by just a little bit. Go back also as well. There's a swivel slightly at the top of the thigh, the way it's just more been assembled in the factory. He has a double hinge on the knee, and then once again he has the articulation here in the foot, back and forth this way, and he also has an ankle pivot too. Some decent toe articulation also there as well. Yeah, nice looking figure. I really like the way that this one turned out. It goes to show too, like if you have a figure or a character that a figure's based from, and say his suit is all black, nothing necessarily says that a company that's making a figure based on that costume has to add then other colors. If the character has a black costume in the comics, why not translate that to a figure that's all molded in black plastic? Should there have been a need to add any extra paint than what we get here on the figure now? I don't think so. I mean, the paint is still where it counts. He has it on the gauntlets. He has it on the spikes that he has holstered in his bandolier. He has it in his belt. And of course, the part that's the most important on Talon is the very inanimate, the very adorned kind of owl mask that he wears. And I think that's been nicely painted as well. What little paint that he has been done effectively, and it looks like Talon from the comics. And that's really all that matters. Sure, I could say one shortcoming to Talon is the lacking of paint. But again, being that the fact that the figure is all costume in black anyways, why would they have to go in there and add extra black if they can mold it already in the black plastic? It does the job already. You don't have to worry about the paint then flaking off. Now, the only thing that actually comes up a little short on Talon here is the length of the peg that they use for the scabbard to attach to the back of his torso. That's a bit of a mouthful. Being that the fact that the post is so short, I find it doesn't actually go far enough into the back of his torso that when you do holster those swords on both the sides of the scabbard, I find like the scabbard just sits way too loose and it falls out, especially when you start moving the figure around. He also has, just by design of his costuming, he has the skirting that comes down from the top of his tunic. And that, of course, goes over top of his thighs, so it does limit the articulation that Talon possesses in his thighs, because he just can't move the legs out too far because of the skirting. The skirting, at least, is softer plastic, but it's not soft enough, or it's still in the way of things, that you can't move the legs out as much as I would hope. It's just by the design of the character. There's really no way around that. Nice looking figure though, but again, I could only hope, now that we've got ourselves a Talon from Court of Owls, that follows suit, if they will, and maybe release Court of Owl figures. I mean, just nameless drones that could go and be displayed along with Talon here. I said like a business suit, man, but I mean, really, that would be all you really would need. A suited character, and then with maybe one mask, a couple of different masks to choose from, or hey, why not? Thinking even more outside the box, they could release like a male and female 2-pack Talon or Court of Owl figure set to go along with Talon. And then you have a couple of different masks to choose from, so you can display them in many different ways. I hope if we are going to be getting ourselves a Court of Owls, they are going to be easy to come by, because I could definitely see myself getting more than one, maybe more than two. Okay, maybe more than 6. Probably going to be getting quite a lot of these to be displayed along with Talon. But what do you guys think of him? Let me know down below in the comments section. And certainly, would you be open to the idea of McFarlane Toys releasing maybe a Court of Owls figure that has various swappable parts? So it doesn't just feel like, it doesn't just look like either that you're putting on the shelf the exact same figure times 3, times 6, times 12, times 15. Maybe have some mixing and matchable parts to it. You can change out the look of the Court of Owl characters, the members of the Court of Owls you can have displayed with Talon. Would you guys be open to that idea? Let me know down below in the comments section. And again, I did pick this one up over on Entertainment Earth's website. You can certainly probably find this in stores as well, but I found the easiest place and the quickest place to ship was over on Entertainment Earth's website, so I'll put the link down below in the video description if you guys are interested to grab Talon for yourself and you haven't had any luck whatsoever finding this figure in the wild. Also, if you enjoyed this video, hit with like. If you're loving the content you're seeing and do want to stick around for more, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notification. Popping up also at the very end of this video would be a playlist of other DC Multiverse reviews that I've done over the years. So I guess how many years have we been looking at DC Multiverse figures from McFarlane Toys? He's been doing it at least for more than one. Maybe he's done even more for 2. I'm going to have to go back and check how long has McFarlane had the DC license for. Either way, there is definitely going to be a playlist popping up at the very end of this video, so you can check out, if you have a little bit of time on your hands, all the other stuff I've looked at for the DC Multiverse, with many more reviews to follow. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.